Let's begin discussing all of the technical faults of the FNAF series with the first game. Yes, I know that this is Scott Cawthon's first game in the series, so I will cut him some slack on this one. But I still must point out the flaws with this game. Let's start with the game's tools. In this game, you face off against 4 animatronics as you work the night shift at a pizzeria. I would say 5, but Golden Freddy is quite irrelevant as he can be completely avoided. Thus, you only have 4 animatronics to defend against: Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica. Your tools are the hall lights, the doors, your ears, and the cameras. You use the hall lights to check if Bonnie and Chica are at the doors, you use your ears for Freddy's laughs, and for the footsteps of Bonnie and Chica, you use the doors to keep all the animatronics out, and you use the cameras to watch everyone's movements in the various rooms throughout the pizzeria. The animatronics get increasingly aggressive throughout the nights, so expect them to come after you more often. Here, we have one of the game's flaws. You're supposed to use the cameras to watch the animatronics, but how can you do that if the animatronics move too quickly? Past night 2, they all move too quickly for you to keep up with them on the cameras, especially on nights 5, 6, and 7. Even if you could use all of the cameras all the way up to night 7, why would you? Most of them aren't even necessary. You really only need 2 cameras in this game: Foxy's camera, aka the Pirate Cove or simply Cam 1C, and the East Hall Corners camera, aka Cam 4B. Foxy doesn't move anywhere most of the time, so his camera is obviously important. Freddy can't move if the monitor is focused on him, and Cam 4B is the only place where he can't move while the monitor is down. Thus, you can just keep Freddy at Cam 4B, and if you want to switch to another camera, you just close the right door first, so Freddy can't get in. That's it. All the other cameras are useless. This begs the question, why have so many cameras if most of them are unusable and worthless? It's quite disappointing. Scott clearly put so much work into all these cameras as they all contain some really interesting visuals. It's just too bad that there's no reason to pay attention to most of them. Now let's talk about the animatronics themselves. I'll start with Bonnie and Chica, but first I must explain how all of the animatronics move in this game. Each animatronic is programmed with a timer in the game. Every time this timer goes down, something is supposed to happen to the animatronic. Each animatronic has a different timer. Bonnie's timer is 4.97 seconds, Chica's is 4.98 seconds, Foxy's is 5.01 seconds, and Freddy's is 3.02 seconds. Why Scott made these timers so specific, no one knows. Anyway, once these timers go down, the game selects a random number between 1 and 20. If the random number is less than or equal to the animatronic's current AI value, the animatronic takes a step forward, except for Foxy because he works differently. Otherwise, they stay still. This means that if the animatronic is at level 1, they have a 5% chance of moving. If they're at level 20, they have a 100% chance of moving. If they're at level 0, they have a 0% chance of moving. Some of you may have already noticed 2 potential issues here. For those of you who haven't, I'll explain them anyway. The first issue is that if the game keeps throwing high numbers at a low-level animatronic, then said animatronic could potentially stay at any place indefinitely. This issue tends to happen during the earliest nights, where the animatronics are at lower levels. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen occasionally. It even happened to Markiplier during night 2 once, as shown in the following clip.
In the dark though, so hey, reason not to run out of power, right?
Yeah!
I also want to emphasize the importance of using your door lights. There are blind spots in your camera view.
I
Blind
know!
spots happen to be right outside your door.
He
So
is!
if you can't
Still there?
find something
Oh, he's still there!
on your cameras, be sure to check the door light. You might only have a few seconds to react.
Yeah!
Not that you would be in any danger, of course. I'm not implying that.
He's still there, I can see his shadow!
Also, check on the curtain in Pirate Cove from time to time.
Yeah.
The character in there seems unique in that he becomes more active if the cameras remain off for long periods of time. I guess he doesn't like...
Where's the other guy?
I don't know. Anyway,
There.
I'm sure you have everything under
Wait a minute,
control.
that's the bunny!
Talk to you soon.
Is he still there? He is still there! Whoa, what is that? What the hell is that? What happened? No, 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 no! You can't tell me that nothing happened. What the hell happened there? Is he still there? Why don't he go screw himself? I can't deal with this! You're gonna make me keep that door locked! He's just gonna stand there! He's gonna stand there like a creep and gonna use up all my power! Oh crap, this is not good. Well, this got off to a pleasant start, didn't it? I thought I was maybe gonna skid right by night 2, and I was gonna be able to get to the rest of the game, but this guy, he's not leaving! Why is he not leaving? Oh god, I'm never gonna make it because he's still there! Go away! Nobody likes you! He's still there! Why? Why is he still there? What do I do? Oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm dead. I'm screwed. I'm so very screwed. He's not leaving. He's gonna suck up all my power. I'm gonna be dead. You son of a bitch. I hate you. Why the music? Mr. Ducky's still over there, so at least that's something good, but God, I can't even go on the camera now because it sucks up power. Everything you do, even looking at the camera, takes power. You guys help me figure that out. And god damn, would you just go? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. This issue tends to happen more frequently with Chica than with Bonnie. Unlike Bonnie, Chica doesn't always go back to the beginning after being blocked at the door, so she could come back to the door very soon and stay there for as long as she wants. Moreover, her AI is a little lower than Bonnie's AI on nights 1 and 2, so that makes her even more likely to camp at the door. Still, this camping issue can happen with both Bonnie and Chica. This camping issue also happens with Freddy when he reaches Camp 4B, though it's not nearly as bad. Again, all you have to do is to keep the monitor on Cam 4B to keep Freddy from coming into the office, but this is rather silly to do because you're just spamming the camera like an idiot. Plus, Freddy shouldn't even be allowed to be at Cam 4B for such a long time. In any case, Scott could have easily remedied this problem by allowing a maximum wait time to prevent any animatronic from staying in one place too long. Sadly, he didn't think to do that. The second issue with such a timer system is that if you're unlucky enough to the point where the game keeps throwing low numbers at low-level animatronics, the walking animatronics can reach your door much faster than they should. This rarely happens, but it is worth considering. Plus, if the AI levels of the animatronics are too high, 420 mode being the best example, then the animatronics will rush you down constantly throughout the night, forcing you to rely on exploits to survive. This problem could have been fixed, however. I believe that Scott should have increased the timers for all of the animatronics while decreasing the entire range of AI values from 1 to 20 to 1 to 10. That would have made the animatronics' movements more bearable and would have allowed the player to beat the game without relying on exploits. Anyway, that takes care of all of the issues with Bonnie and Chica. Now to discuss Freddy's issues in more depth. In this game, Freddy is notorious for being the trickiest animatronic to defend against. In actuality, he's the easiest animatronic to avoid, yet many people struggle with him. Why is that? The answer is simple. The game does not tell you enough about his mechanics, despite going out of its way to tell you about the mechanics of all of the other animatronics. I'm not even joking. Here's what Phone Guy says about Freddy's mechanics in the game.
Interestingly enough, Freddy himself doesn't come off stage very often. I've heard he becomes a lot more active in the dark, though, so hey, I guess that's one more reason not to run out of power, right?
That's it. That's all the information that you're given about Freddy's mechanics. Not very helpful, is it? It's not that any of this information isn't useful at all, but you'll eventually find this stuff out while playing the game anyway. Besides, you're still not told about Freddy's main mechanics that are in play when the power isn't out, which are the most important parts to worry about. For example, you're never told about Freddy's laughs. Freddy laughs every time he advances a room, and his laugh gets louder as he gets closer to the office. This is something that the player should have been told about so they could at least see Freddy coming. The laughs themselves aren't a very good mechanic though. As shown before, Freddy's timer for an AI level check is only 3.02 seconds. Should you get unlucky enough to have Freddy move twice in succession, one of his laughs will cut off the other laugh. Like this. This means that if you heard 5 laughs, it's possible that you actually heard 4 laughs, and you may not have even noticed it. This happens a lot in 420 mode, where everyone will move constantly. Scott would have noticed this issue with Freddy if he had tested the game more. To make matters worse, Freddy doesn't show up on the cameras if another animatronic is in the same room as him. Actually, only one animatronic can be shown on the camera at any time, but Freddy's images on the camera have less priority over Bonnie's and Chica's images. Anyway, the problem with such a mechanic is that Chica and Freddy are often in the same room, so newer players won't know where Freddy is half the time. This is especially problematic in the East Hall corner because that's the last place that Freddy goes to before entering the office, and unlike Chica, he doesn't appear at all in the right door's blind spot. This means that once he's in Cam 4B, he is one step away from killing you, so if you don't notice that he's there, you're going to die. And do you know what the worst part of it all is? The game never tells you any of this. I have one question. Why? Why doesn't the game tell me that Freddy can't be seen when Bonnie and Chica are in the same room? Did Scott seriously sit down while designing this game and think, Freddy can't be seen if Bonnie and Chica are in the same vicinity. I should probably do something about that so newer players won't be frantically searching for him on the cameras when they can't find him. Nah, I'm sure the game will be fine. It's not so the player will get blindsided or anything, right? No, the fact that this is Scott's first FNAF game is not an excuse. This issue with Freddy was so glaringly obvious that you would have to be extremely poor at testing your games not to have noticed it, whether or not you're a novice programmer. So, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck Scott was doing. Funnily enough, I died on night 4 because of this issue, and it was my first death. It was 4 a.m. and Chica was in the East Hall corner. Unfortunately, Freddy was also in the East Hall corner, but I didn't know that because, once again, Chica's fat ass covers Freddy's image on the camera. Here I was, trying so desperately to find Freddy on the cameras, but my efforts were in vain because he got into the office and killed me anyway. Wow. My first death in the game, and it wasn't even my fault. What a cheap-ass death. I was so pissed at the game for that. 10 out of 10, Scott. Just 10 out of 10, man. In any case, Freddy's disappearance around Bonnie and Chica is most likely one of the biggest reasons why so many players died to Freddy on nights as early as 3 and 4, where he starts becoming active. People almost certainly didn't die to Freddy that early because the power ran out. I say this because unless you have the doors closed all night, you're not really going to run out of power until night 5 at the earliest. I just have to wonder why Scott didn't bother making camera images in which more than one animatronic can be seen. Even if that was too hard for him to do, he could have just warned the player that Freddy can't be seen with other animatronics nearby. In short, he had any number of chances to rectify this issue, but he chose not to do anything. Oh, and it gets even more interesting. Scott made a book called The Freddy Files that doubles as a book of theories about the lore, something that I honestly couldn't care less about, and as a strategy guide for the first 5 FNAF games. In the FNAF 1 section, there's a page that provides a decent explanation of Freddy's mechanics. Still, there are 2 big problems with it. The first problem with this page is that Freddy's laughs are never mentioned. I don't really know why this is, since Freddy's route is outlined on the page. It would have made sense to mention the laughs along with that, but Scott didn't. For some reason. The second problem with this page is that the page never mentions that the images of Bonnie and Chica on the camera block Freddy's images. Again, I really don't know why this is. The game certainly doesn't mention this issue, and neither does this page. It's just not mentioned at all. Just why? Like, Scott, this was your chance to make things right by explaining Freddy's mechanics more thoroughly, something that should have already been done in the game, but whatever. Yet you still fell short. I just don't know what to do with you, man. Just, what were you doing? Anyway, not everyone has access to the Freddy Files book, so some people still aren't going to know about Freddy's mechanics. In fact, Freddy's mechanics are so misunderstood that people to this day are still asking about them. I'm not even joking. I've even made a few guides on YouTube and on Steam just to help these people out, because the game certainly wasn't going to do it. Now, I don't expect to be told everything about a game's mechanics because I don't believe in hand-holding in video games. Still, I expect at least enough information to get me started so that I can figure out the rest of the mechanics myself. Sadly, I didn't get that from this game. Not at all. So, seriously, Scott, were you asleep when you were making explanations for Freddy's mechanics? Did you at one point say, "Okay, I've explained how to deal with Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. I'm on Freddy now, but I'm just too damn tired. Screw it. Let the player figure him out." My god. Now, had I been designing the game, I would have changed the original, pitiful in-game description of Freddy's mechanics to something more thorough. Like this. Interestingly enough, Freddy himself doesn't come off stage very often. I heard he becomes a lot more active in the dark, though, so hey, I guess that's one more reason not to run out of power, right? But yeah, don't expect him to show up in lit areas, or in areas that can be lit. Oh, and he's always laughing when he moves around. It's a little creepy, but you need not worry about it. You know, for some reason, Freddy gets camera shy when other animatronics are around. Don't really know what that's all about. Yeah, he's a slippery one, alright, but you'll be fine if you pay close attention to him. Do you see how much more helpful this description of Freddy's mechanics is? It explains what you need to know about Freddy without outright telling you what to do for him. I even outlined some sections that hint at certain things so that you can see what I mean. The first part that I outlined refers to the fact that Freddy cannot be seen with the hall lights or in any area with lights. The second part refers to the fact that Freddy laughs whenever he advances a room. The third part refers to the fact that Freddy can't be seen when Bonnie and Chica are in the same room. This is how Scott should have explained Freddy's movements. I cannot stress the importance of giving the player enough information to play the game correctly, which the so-called tutorial in this game did not do very well with regard to Freddy. Fortunately, once you learn how Freddy works, he's not a threat anymore, but that just shows how poorly designed he is. If I had one statement to make about Freddy, it would be this. Initially and needlessly hard to understand, laughably and utterly piss easy to counter. Now, let's talk about Foxy's issues, which are no doubt the biggest in the entire game. That's right, it gets worse. Seriously, Foxy's the sole reason why some of these nights are flat out unplayable. Before we talk about Foxy's issues, I must explain his mechanics a bit. As you already know, Foxy spends most of his time at Cam 1C, aka the Pirate Cove. In that location, he undergoes 4 stages. In stage 1, he just jerks off in his curtain until he's done and needs to wash his hands. In stage 2, he peeks out of his curtain to make sure that no one's around. In stage 3, he gets ready to run to the office, which he thinks is the restroom for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. In stage 4, he makes a beeline to the office through the West Hall, aka Cam 2A. If your left door is not closed in time, Foxy will enter your office and realize that it's not a restroom, and then he'll kill you out of embarrassment. If your left door is closed in time, Foxy will bang on the door desperately, leaving his fox juice from his unwashed hands all over your nice, shiny metal door. How splendid. Then the janitor will have to clean that shit up, and in the morning, he'll bitch to management about having to do it every night. Then management will tear you a new one for supposedly letting this happen. I don't know, life's not fair. Anyway, Foxy will look for the actual restroom, and afterwards, he'll return to his curtain to continue fapping. Only to forget where the actual restroom is. Expect this to happen a lot during the night. Jokes aside, oh, sorry, wrong media file. Jokes aside, Foxy will repeatedly progress through his stages in an attempt to breach your office. Should he ever get blocked by your door, he'll bang on it. When he does, he'll steal 1% power the first time and increase that amount by 5% for subsequent door blocks. In other words, the first time will be 1%, the second time will be 6%, the third will be 11%, and so on. It's your job as a night guard to slow down Foxy's progress as much as possible. To do that, you need to check on Foxy with the cameras regularly, according to Phone Guy. Looking at Foxy on the cameras will stun him. That is, his progression through his stages will be halted. Actually, you don't even need to check on Foxy's camera specifically to stun him. Viewing any camera will stun him. In other words, unless Foxy has already left Pirate Cove, he cannot move while the monitor is in use. Of course, you'll eventually want to look at Foxy every now and then to make sure that he hasn't left this area, but my point is that you don't need to look at him that often, provided that you use the cameras regularly. This exploit makes the game considerably easier as it allows you to focus on other animatronics, particularly Freddy. However, it shouldn't have been in the game in the first place. Still, I can see how Scott missed this exploit. He most likely intended for the player not to simply stall in the office instead of using the cameras. As a result, he centered Foxy's AI around the player's camera usage, punishing players who didn't use the cameras often enough. Unfortunately, he didn't adjust Foxy's AI so that the player would focus specifically on him. Anyway, this is a flaw with Foxy's mechanics, but it's actually beneficial. So what makes Foxy so game-breaking then? His aggressiveness. As I said, Foxy's progression through his stages is halted whenever you use the monitor. After you put down the monitor, there's supposed to be a cooldown time to prevent Foxy from moving too soon after being watched. This makes sense because it allows you to focus on things other than the cameras, such as the door lights. Moreover, the cooldown time is randomized each night so that Foxy has some unpredictability in his level of aggression. Some randomness in game design is fine, but the problem here with the cooldown time is that it's horrendously randomized. According to someone who once decompiled the game, Foxy's cooldown time ranges from 0.83 seconds to 17.5 seconds. Okay, why is this range of random values so big? The two extremes here are ridiculous. Any value close enough to 0.83 seconds makes a night virtually unplayable because Foxy will attack too many times, sapping all of your power in the process. Any value close enough to 17.5 seconds makes a night too easy because Foxy will hardly ever move. A much more reasonable range of randomized values would be 6 to 13 seconds, or something like that. That would make all the nights not too hard or easy, just right. That and Scott should have reduced the amount of power that Foxy takes from your door. A 5% increase of wasted power that occurs whenever Foxy bangs on the door is a bit much. These fixes could have been implemented had Scott just tested this game thoroughly, which he did not. In fact, many of the issues in the FNAF series can be attributed to the utter lack of proper testing, as I have already said in my introductory video of this series. Scott just didn't think the execution of his ideas all the way through, and this game suffered for it. I know what you all are thinking. Give Scott a break. This is his first game. Remember that I already said that I would cut Scott some slack because this is his first game. Notice that I said the words some slack. Well, I can excuse certain issues, which can be easy to miss. I cannot excuse other issues that were so glaringly obvious that even the most inexperienced programmer would have noticed them. There's one more thing that I should mention. The game gives you up to 3 stars as a sign of completion. You get the first star for beating nights 1 to 5, you get the second star for beating night 6, and you get the third star for beating 420 mode on night 7. Get all 3 stars, and you've beaten the game 100%. However, I don't think of these stars as badges of honor. I know that Scott and many of his FNAF fans want to think of these stars as badges of honor, but they're really not. They're actually badges of luck and persistence. They're badges of luck because the game's mechanics are heavily RNG based, though the RNG is not nearly as bad as that of FNAF 2, FNAF 3, and Ultimate Custom Night. Still, Foxy's cooldown RNG is pretty annoying, and so is Freddy's RNG when the power runs out. Seriously, the stupid bear can kill you in 10 to 60 seconds. 10 to 60 seconds! Why is there such a large range of random values? Why does Scott use such brutal RNG? Again, I don't mind some randomness in gameplay, but the problem with the FNAF games in general is that they turn the RNG up to 11. It's extremely frustrating. Anyway, the 3 stars are also badges of persistence because no matter how hard you try or how skillful you are, there's always a fair chance that someone or something will come by and mess everything up. I mean, what's stopping Foxy and Freddy from being total jerks? Nothing. This means that it's not entirely the player's skill that determines success. To be fair to the game, if you know the right strategies, you can beat nights 1 to 4 roughly 100% of the time, and nights 5 to 7 at least 90% of the time. Still, the RNG that the game has can be quite irritating sometimes. Plus, the game's mechanics are quite simple and don't require a lot of skill from the player in the first place. All you really have to do is to alternate between the cameras and the door lights. That's it. So much for skill. In any case, this game, much like all of the other FNAF games, gives you stars not for being good enough to beat the game, but for being lucky and persistent enough to do it. Well, that takes care of all of the main issues in this game. In short, FNAF 1 is not a good game. But you know what? It's not even the worst game in the series, despite being Scott's first FNAF game. There are a few other games that are even worse, those being FNAF 2 and FNAF 3. How is this possible? No one knows! Anyway, now that the first FNAF game has been discussed, let's move on to the second game. If your left door is closed in time, Foxy will bang on the door desperately, leaving his fox juice from his unwashed hands all over your nice, shiny metal door. How pleasant. Then the janitor will have to clean that shit up, and in the morning, he'll bitch to management. I can't do it. Fuck. Oh my god. Ah, fuck. Fuck.